Hi guys, we're going to talk about the movie 28 Days Later. 2002's 28 Days Later. You've definitely seen this, Lee.
Mm-hmm. I remember this being a super big deal when it came out, and I remember being like, yeah, it was cool, I guess. And then now watching it again, I'm just like, I don't know, fucking care, it was whatever. I have zero reverence or zero. It's too long. It's kind of weird. I think they were trying to make a real movie, and it's misguided. And it's okay. And I like the people in it. And there's a lot to talk about. But I don't really care.
For something that I enjoyed so much when it came out, I held no nostalgia that like would carry me through this, and honestly didn't remember a lot.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what I did remember in the spoilers. So if you've seen it or don't care, falls over to spoilers, and if not, pull out now.
If you need a place to rent content, you better listen. We're Cannibal Video and we eat the competition.
All right, so here we are for the spoilers of 28 Days Later. Lee, let me have them spoiler-filled thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know this, like, did Walking Dead rip this off? Like, what's happening?
Actually made a note. Look up what came first, the comic of Walking Dead or this.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Because obviously the show Walking Dead is much after.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, like, I wonder... I could see Kirkman being like, well, you can't copyright being in a coma, that's fine.
Well, I think
like,
also Kirkman is like...
He's cool.
I was going to say, like, homages are a thing.
Yeah, I guess fine.
And, like, if you were to say, who did it better, I would say The Walking Dead. Because why is he naked?
He's in a hospital.
But honestly, like, he's not in a gown and, like, no clothes underneath it. He's just naked.
Yeah.
And then later on, he's showering naked. He's the only character we see naked in the movie, as if he's like, I'll do it. But I have to be naked at least twice.
He wants to be naked.
Yeah.
I can tell.
That's
He's enjoying it.
It's very strange because, like, I have a thing in general. Like, when nudity makes sense in a movie, I'm all for it. But when it's just for the sake of nudity, it's very strange. And in this, it only makes me ask questions. I'm like almost as many questions as like, okay, so we show a monkey atrocities and that fills his brain with rage.
He's infected with rage, Stefan.
But why show him little TVs? Why that little aspect, the Clockwork Orange of monkeys that they have going on there is so strange.
I'm trying to think. Clockwork apes? Clock apes, monkey chimps? Clock chimp monkeys? Something.
Just drinking milk.
There's two. No, like you're calling out like actual things. Like I'm so beyond that. I was just like at a certain point I remember being like, I'm bored. I wrote that in my notes like several times. I'm bored now. I don't know what's happening.
Do you recall when that first started?
I don't know. They do all these montages where they're like, now we're going here. And I just remember thinking like, this is what a movie now would just like skip. I don't need to see this fucking shit.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, it's Danny Boyle. It's like a real movie. I'm like, that's the problem. And everyone, and at the time, everybody said, holy shit, it's a real movie. But it's been 100 years, and there've been 100 real zombie movies now. And this does nothing. Like, listen, like, do you want to know the moment that I like cheered at was Brendan Gleeson going irradiated.
Irradiated.
And I was like, I remember this! Yes! Because it pans over all the rotten fruit, and then there's like one perfect one, and I'm like, irradiated! I don't know what that is, Mom, but it's good! I remember being like...
I was trying to mentally calculate what time frame are we in from the apocalypse starting?
28 days.
Well, no, but so as a person watching, I bet if you asked anybody, they would say that.
Right.
But 28 Days Later is actually a reference to the very end of the movie when the zombies actually start to like die.
No, that's 28 more days.
I don't think so, because nothing on screen ever says it's been 28 days.
No, the guy says, in these last 4 weeks, since the infection, I've noticed this. I'm Doctor Who, though. Everyone lives, Rose. Everybody lives.
This is what I've seen in the 4 weeks since infection. People killing people.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, Doctor Who says that.
Yeah.
But at the point where they encounter Doctor Who, it may have already been a while. Like how long?
He says 28 days since the infection.
No, since... Okay,
that's what he means.
Maybe he does.
Listen, maybe he does. I have no idea what he does.
Okay,
who cares?
so the
It's
issue
fine.
I'd have is that a human can't survive for 28 days in a coma.
Of course.
They would be dead.
Of course.
So, like, obviously, he didn't have his accident then. So, like, that's why my time framing doesn't make sense.
Because, like, day 0 could have been 28 days ago, but the hospital was not overrun until, like, 4 days
I think it would have
ago.
happened. Yeah,
Who knows?
I wonder, because there's...
No, she says, like, at first it was on TV, and then it was not on TV, it was out your window, and then it came in from the outside, and all the...
And then it wasn't on the TV anymore. It was in the street outside. It was coming through your windows. It was a virus.
That would make
describes this,
sense
like, process
in
and
multiple things where I don't know if the issue would have been budgetary.
First it was in Cardiff, and then it was in Westminster,
there's no bodies
Glastonshire.
in the hospital at all.
Yeah.
So like they evacuated and left, and that's fine
guess,
or whatever.
yeah.
And then when they get to the military base, there's also no bodies, and they're like, oh, is it abandoned? Clearly it's not abandoned. There's like 7 dudes patrolling or whatever.
Yeah.
But at some point, that was a military checkpoint, and it either got overran or they left. But the idea that there's no bodies is so weird.
They threw them all in the woods. There's a pile of bodies in the woods.
Get up! Jones! Move there! Move! Where are you?
I think those are bodies
Yes,
from the thing.
Yes,
like
I know.
The
yes.
military and stuff. Like, I feel like there'd been shell casings. Did they sweep?
The first step towards civilization.
Like it felt so
Probably,
weird.
yeah.
Like it felt so void of anything happening there. Like it felt like a set. And for a movie that is a movie, a lot of that's weird. And apples, even irradiated ones, 28 like apples don't last 28 days.
Irradiation
like
is
that.
magical. See, this movie is against eco-terrorism and pro-irradiating food. That's the message of this film. If you take anything from it, take that away. Don't go try to free the monkeys. You're going to bite off more than you can chew. And irradiating food is good, and it will save us all. Please, EU, pass the regulations. Let us irradiate our food again.
I like it when like PETA comes in to save these monkeys.
The chimps are infected. They're highly contagious. They've been given an inhibitor.
Infected with what?
And like the only people to murder monkeys are PETA. Like the only animals that are hurt in the movie
Listen,
are
yeah.
by PETA activists.
It's honestly weird because I think at the time it made more sense, but now everything is so obvious and like blown out and stuff. But I think that they really, like, I think, because this is not like post 9/11 in the same way, it was already being made and written and stuff. So I feel like this takes place during the time of like human existence where we had no problems. They were like, oh, the biggest problem we could possibly imagine is some hippies are like, we don't like you testing on monkeys. And I'm like, what? No, it would be like some government like thing.
Yeah.
Like even the synopsis of the movie, if it's not on the box, it's on IMDb, it says like it opens with some foolish activists ruin everything. That's like how it's framed. I thought that was very funny and like played out.
Yeah.
And like, again, to contrast with The Walking Dead, we have like it's literally like turning it inside out. Because in The Walking Dead, you follow Rick and then he wakes up and then he learns what happened. And here it's like you're starting with Brenner.
I think tomorrow I'm gonna blow my brains out.
It's like you're like, wait, no, like they already know like why the infection is loose, and the guy's like, they're infected with rage, and he tells you everything first, and then the guy wakes up, so you're just waiting to see like, well, what are we up to? Like it's not as much of like a oh fuck when he sees a zombie or anything, right? I mean, he says oh fuck, but we go like, well, yeah, I'm gonna divide. It's 20 minutes, yeah.
I do love like his instincts. Like there's things that like I'm like, okay, I love that.
That's
like
nice,
he sees cans of soda. Aside from drinking one because he's very parched, he hasn't drank in fucking 4 months apparently, 4 weeks apparently.
He's like picking them up and stuff.
Putting them in a
cool.
bag and saving them. I'm like, awesome. And then they kind of ruin that for me when he uses it as like a mace and it doesn't rip. And I'm like, just casually shopping. Sometimes my bag rips.
Those are the bags that are like 0.3 millimeters thick, and they're like so shitty. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in the beginning that's really interesting. Where he has the soda. They get some really cool, shots of the city. I think like they're filming it in a way to try to make it look shitty, like it's like a newsreel almost, or it just looks shitty. I don't know, because certain scenes I'm like that just looks shitty. But sometimes I think it's intentional, or they're going for like a certain amount of grime. But those empty streets with like litter and shit,
That's
I'm
what
like,
really does.
That's
it.
cool.
'Cause this is before you're painting
it.
things out. Like,
Yeah, it's
like,
crazy.
They had to get those shots. I'm sure
What
they
do they
only
do?
closed it down for a few minutes at a time.
was gonna say,
but they
yeah.
still had to do that.
Yeah,
and this
which
is
is wild.
It's a very populated city. So that's pretty interesting.
So stuff like that, I'm like, damn, that's pretty cool. Because like you say, I Am Legend doesn't capture the same thing or whatever, because they're using magic.
Yeah, it's digital, like
computer.
putting vines and bullshit.
And then like
it's still cool.
and then like giraffes and shit. And you're
Yeah.
like, okay, fine. Yes, but this was just like a dirty man in like a dirty city, and he's picking up newspapers that are like, evacuation has been ordered, and he's like, oh shit, oh no, yeah.
The end is extremely fucking nigh. I thought is the best spray paint in
no,
the church.
yeah.
I love that.
The church too, like it does a really good job, I think, of like ramping things up, but it's probably already taking too long to get from one thing to the other. But in the church, when he's like, hello, and then like because it looks like it's just full of corpses, but then like a few turn around, and it's like, what? And then, and they just go, and they just like look up, and it's like, what? Oh god! It's this great
there's
moment
a weird
of
thing
like,
where it's a movie though, like clearly like it's a movie, because like when he's first learning it, like the father is like stumbling and so slow.
Father.
Yeah.
And then later on, it's like, oh, I lit a candle and they pincer moved me through the skylight in the front window. You're like, what the fuck?
It's actually like a video game, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you literally, because they're running and like you're hearing them, and then you have your QuickTime event with the preacher, and then he's like, Father, oh, I'm sorry, Father. Oh, he's doing his shit and all that stuff. And then later he's running but doesn't encounter them yet, like you're saying. It keeps layering it out. And
there's
everything,
so much time where he's like out and about and doesn't encounter anybody, and like I just feel like there'd be so many, like
they're hiding in the church.
We really don't ever get hit with, like, there's never a war of zombies. Like, you never, never Walking Dead where he turns the corner and there's 1,000 of them. So like maybe we did wipe out a good chunk in the thing. Who knows what happened?
Yeah, we don't know how long it takes for them to starve. Even we just heard references to that idea. No, and it's cool. The first time Selena has to like hack up a dude like in front of him, and
her former friend.
Yeah, and then she's like, I could see it in his eyes.
Wait.
He knew he was bit, and you're like, shit.
That
like, it's one of those.
His eyes did tell that story.
But
like, you did know that.
But that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's like, we're like declaring the rules of the new world and all that stuff. But I think that is where, like, it's like an hour before you get to the military base.
Yeah,
so like,
that's like the end of the movie, isn't it?
But that's like the plot. That's
Pretty
like
much.
when it, like, I'm not saying that's when that the movie starts, but I feel like you have one movie and then you have another movie. They kill off Dad, and then it's just like, oh no, and then you're in like the like Negan seasons of like The Walking Dead, where it's like humans are the real monsters, and I'm like, I know, it's been 20 years. Humans have always been the real monsters.
The eyeball drop of blood thing, I remember like affecting me
remember that
first
too,
time I watched it, because you're like, oh shit, you can do
Anything could
everything
happen.
right, and
Exactly.
you're just fucked. But I thought like,
And he's such a good guy.
but
And
he
you're
like
fuck.
doesn't do everything right. Like
He has a
a
breakdown.
riot gear outfit that he like doesn't. I would wear that 24 hours a day.
Down the corridor, flat 157. Thank you. Thank you.
Like it seems like he was almost impenetrable with that thing on, and if I remember correctly, it had eye covering, so he would have lived. So like that's weird. But there's like a lot of dumb things, like not taking precautions.
Yeah.
Obviously dumb, and they do this in a number of events. Like, hey, let's pop pills and camp in this unfortified structure.
Not only will we be able to get to sleep, but if we're attacked in the middle of the night, we won't even care. 2 each.
Like that just seems. I would never do that.
No.
Sleep in the car.
No, but Dad is like, no, none for me. Okay, just a half for her.
Yes.
He even wakes up Jim. He's like, oh, you're having a bad dream. And
Yeah.
he's like, oh,
Oh,
okay.
thanks, Dad. It was a touching
and
moment.
he goes, oh, I am Dad, aren't I?
You're having a bad dream, that's all. Thanks, Dad.
But it's such
awesome.
a dumb thing. And like even our military people,
He
that's
watches
like the
over.
worst structure to be like, okay, we're gonna hold up in here.
We're gonna fortify
it's
this.
just a fucking house.
And you're like
surrounded by like woods and lawns.
And it's like, what do we do about the windows? He's like, sir, there are 117 windows on each floor.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? Yeah, it's like insane.
I don't understand why that would be their go-to. Like,
No,
yes,
because-
living in luxury is nice.
Because they suck, and that's part
Yeah.
of the motto here.
for a
If
moment
I-
you think he doesn't suck though. You're like, oh, is this an honorable man?
That's the point. I
Yeah.
think if there is any point to make here, because Negan's like, I love being evil. How y'all doing? I'm evil. And just doing all of his stuff, right? But this guy, Doctor Who, I love Christopher Eccleston. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go look for more things he's in, because I'm like, you're an actual actor. Because he nails this thing where he's like, you don't understand. I promised them women.
I moved us from the blockade. I set the radio broadcasting, and I promised them women.
Right?
Yeah.
Where, like, he's the guy. So, like, how does evil prosper in this crazy mixed up world? You have bureaucratic guys who think they're making the hard choices and the like trade-offs of like, well, this is better than nothing and we need society, but I don't know, right? Allowing the evil to take place. Because like amongst his unit, there's probably a spectrum from like the full-on rapist to the guy that like they had to kill because he wasn't enough of a rapist.
Yeah.
So if they had just taken the rapiest guy and like thrown him in like a cell and been like, we don't do that anymore. I'm Christopher Eccleston, bitch. Everything would have been fine, but he it was like too tempting for him to be like, oh, it's like easier. I can make it work like this. Where if I just promise them,
I would imagine
What if we
if
just
this-
had some disposable people that we could throw in here?
If it were fully fleshed out more, like
Yeah.
if this were a show or something, I
Yes.
think you would see that like your better people, your honorable men, your this and that, are probably your worst soldiers, are probably this and that, or the first persons to die because they go in ahead of the other people. So like your
Maybe.
scumbags
Yeah.
seem to be the ones that are out for themselves, while your honorable people are out for the group. So I think they would die first in a zombie scenario.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but then the moral would be see how bad those people are and how we let them take control.
No. What I'm
or
saying
something
is,
like,
in a
it would be
more
different
fleshed out thing,
yeah.
you would have seen like that's how we're left with only the shitheads because it's a classic saying. I don't know if you heard this: "Good guys finish last, and assholes always survive."
But
they're like cockroaches.
But that's the problem.
That is the problem.
That's what we need to solve.
No, I'm just saying that's how we would explain how we got to the point we're at now.
No, you don't need to explain it because like this is the tragedy of like human existence, where like this guy and what happens to him, he dies. It doesn't even work. That's the real thing on top of the thing. On top of the thing is like he has the whole speech. He'll never bake bread. He'll never build a structure. He'll never farm potatoes. This motherfucker's doomed.
He's telling me he'll never bake bread, plant crops, raise livestock. He's telling me he's futureless.
Look at what he's doing. He's doomed. He has no future. Meanwhile, he might as well be talking to himself. Because he's surrounded himself with murderers and rapists and shitheads, just waiting for like a pin to drop and everyone's going, I gotta fucking know it.
It's so weird because let's say and
it's the only good part of the movie.
I definitely missed the part where he said 4 weeks ago or whatever.
Whatever.
Let's assume it is literally only been 4 weeks. It only takes 4 weeks to give up on the idea of humanity, your whole moral anything.
Absolutely.
The fact that you were the governing force of this whole country, and now you're like,
there's no government anymore.
It's very strange. And like the one guy makes a very valid point, and he ends up being right, where it's like we're an island. If this happened here, we couldn't get out of here. It would they would just quarantine us. It's the plot of Doomsday.
Is that a plot hole? Because at one point, maybe it's just like a throwaway line, but she says like, before the radios went out, we heard about infections in Paris and New York.
The day before the TV and radio stopped broadcasting, there were reports of infection in Paris and New York.
But isn't like in the future of this universe, isn't it contained to Britain or whatever?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think in 28 weeks
I haven't
later, it's been a while.
I haven't kept up.
I do think it went everywhere, but I think they were getting a handle on it.
They could always just say,
and like every American has a gun, so we're pretty good.
No, they could always just say, well, there were cases in New York, but they handled it, or they could just say, the whole world's taken over or whatever. It's
At
fine.
the very least, there would be enough time you can get a radio over to us saying like this is coming, and like which they wouldn't have had there, and it's a pretty small island, respectfully. Like
what if everyone was just like, yes, we've heard that there's an infection, but don't worry about it. The cases are going to be 0 next week. It's not a problem.
Got that UK virus.
and then all of a sudden it was like, I don't know how this could have happened.
But isn't it crazy though? So like, everyone makes like the jokes and he's like, it's the kind of guy to hide the fact that he's been bit by a zombie. Like,
exactly.
After something like this happens where you're like, yes, a virus that spreads across the entire world, you're like you know what? Especially if the incubation period for zombiness was a while, or if it was Walking Dead style where no matter what, when you die, it happens. Yeah. Like, it would happen very quickly.
It'd be great.
Yeah. It would be, honestly though, this guy, like, this hits at what I say, like where if you weren't feeling this, you would just want to stay put for a while because yes, people are the most dangerous thing, and once they're dead, mindless idiots I can deal with, but mindless idiots with guns, very difficult.
Like that's the biggest, and I know I'm not like the pretentious kick, but that's the biggest thing in these movies to me is like when you display the tragedy of mankind's faults and because like they're making the one guy dress up in like a pink apron or some shit, like it has a weird.
I don't know if they were making him. I feel like he liked that.
There's some sort of frat house shit going on. Though. It doesn't feel good in there. Opener. I'm saying like something's weird about it already, and he says like, are any of you good in the kitchen or something, right? Like they could have just picked up people and like worked with them instead of trying to sell the women as like rape toys, right? And then like cause the dude to go insane and go sicko mode on the roof and kill everybody.
So okay, let's talk about that real quick. This dude is, at the best case, only been in a coma for a little while.
His bone density should be low.
Yeah.
His parents have been visiting him for how long?
Atrophied.
Yes, it's crazy.
So like, because assuming this, they wouldn't be bike messengering once the zombies are out. So on like the day of it, if we're being generous, is when this happened. So potentially for 4 weeks, that man has been eating fucking vegetable soup through his veins.
He's been getting souped up in his face.
and like, his like, let's say he was stronger than your average man because he worked in a physical, demanding job.
He's like got good cardio or whatever.
4 weeks of not moving, like you're a weak sauce man. This dude is beating fucking the Marines over here, like at their own game on their territory.
Now he does employ some trickery and stuff, and there's a few scenes where he simply like one really good one is when he lets the guy die when he like bursts into a room. He's like running from something.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, I'm out of bullets, and he's like, and he just leaves, and the guy's like, don't leave me, and I'm like, wait, what? Okay. But that's awesome too, this like human panicking, like, I'm hiding, I have no bullets, and then the dudes come in.
The moment anyone ever goes like, I have a zombie as a pet type of thing, I'm always like, that's gonna kill you. That is going to kill you. Like, it's never worked out. Have you ever seen a movie? And I'm like, well, at this time there weren't as many. Maybe you hadn't seen people keep things as pets, but it's danger in your house. You're literally have armed guards to keep these things out, and you're like, let me keep one right in the house.
It seems like, again, with the, floor-to-ceiling, thin-paned windows or whatever, it's an issue. But yes, I do like that they're studying them, though. I think that that's a cool
but you
approach.
Don't do it in your house.
And lastly, meet Mela. Mela, Jim.
I don't need it to be...
Chain him up in the yard where you can see him surrounded by the mines you have or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. Fuck off. How do they not hear the automatic gunfire that breaks that guy's chains, though? He's in their compound shooting. They go, it must have been thunder. It is completely
I was just going to say, it's raining. Hello. Oh, that's my final pretentious point. Oh, we did the whole constellation. We've connected all the dots.
Okay.
It is raining profusely in the finale. Mm-hmm. And they even do little slow-mo where they make the rain look good. I think it's by accident. I think it's like,
it's probably just raining.
No, but I mean, like, I think like we're figuring out frame rates because sometimes the rain looks different and it looks cool. And I'm like, that's an accident. You guys don't know what you're doing. But the point is, they left the safety of the apartment building with the 30,000 buckets on the roof.
Jim, we're not going to be able to stay here.
Because he was like, there's no rain. We have to go. And then he's bleeding and his shit's all fucked up and he's like, don't rape her. I'm going to be there in a second. And the windows are shattering and just rain is pelting them all. It's just, it's like spitting in your face, literally. For like, no, you should have stayed at the fucking apartment.
It is weird. Like, it rains a lot in England. Like,
that's what he says. He's like, what are the odds? It's fucking crazy. Yeah.
I feel like it would have been much easier to just find water and go back to the safe place. But then to say safe place,
journey,
he makes what I would have described from my memory. Oh, there's this amazing thing where he takes shopping carts and he builds a wall. And like, in my head, I always make things better. Yeah. And there's a tunnel with, you have to go through the shopping cart things to get inside.
Yeah.
And like, you're like, oh, but that one's reversed. You got to pick this one up to get through, but that one is pushed through.
And they can't figure it out. Yeah.
But they literally circumvent it in 1 second.
Oh no, they're in.
It is very funny.
It does nothing. It literally does nothing.
No, I'm like embellishing. They obviously weren't like safe there, but it turns out they weren't safe anywhere.
Yeah, their door was at least like an exterior, like solid door.
They seem to have a method at least where they could do a thing.
They weren't going to get burst through from the side windows, being that they were like 10 floors up.
There's like a single point of a defensible position, unlike where the military is supposed to.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Like, ludicrous. Speaking of ludicrous.
Oh, shit.
What am I to believe is happening in the tunnel scene? They're driving a car over cars and stuff?
It's wonderful.
He's not in a monster truck.
And they're all laughing, and it's like, tee ha ha. It's great.
Oh, my God.
That's why, like, on a certain level, it's a movie made by aliens, right? Where it's like, oh, well, let's make them have fun here or something, and then they do that. Right? Yeah. And that's his like, oh, you pushed it a little too far and now we need this again, this is the kind of stuff, I'm not saying it's like shitty or useless, but the movie is pushing 2 hours long. Yeah. And I'm not saying that, I can't listen, watch a movie that's like 2 hours, but this feels it to me where I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't need all of these little examples of stuff, because if the movie was just trying to get us to the military thing, we should have gotten there closer to like 30 or 40 minutes in. And if the military thing is just a capper, just to show off the chaos of whatever, cut that down then. So it's just like, serene family trying to survive. Smack! Oh, hierarchy is bad. Yeah. Oh, a bunch of men that want to rape you. Oh, but we got away. And now we're on a cottage and we're sewing and we're waiting for help, right?
You almost needed the military earlier just because no one dies in this movie till like the very end, and it is only those military guys really, because our dad dies,
once you get
eye
down
drop to the eye.
Dad?
Keep away from me!
Dad?
Keep away from me! Keep away from me!
Yeah.
The friend dies relatively while explaining you like the rules.
You never go anywhere alone unless you've got no choice. And lesson 2, you only travel during daylight. unless he got no choice.
There's not a lot. It's like the Jurassic Park 3 problem. There's not a lot of bodies to drop along the way until you get to that finale.
There's an up and down.
You don't care about any of those people, so there's not. You don't have that. Oh no! Oh, that guy.
When they kill the one friend, it's like you've barely met him, right? And then through and through, and killing Dad's a big deal. I'm like, damn,
but
son.
He dies in like such. You're like, oh man, and then they don't even have the balls to make like them kill him.
I know.
Random nameless, faceless guy shoots him.
Yeah.
So
like I thought it was a big deal when what's his Jim? I was gonna say I learned all their real names this time. When Jim bayonets the guy, right? Was that a big moment? Was that his first killing of a real person? I think.
Yeah.
Okay,
because he'd only killed the boy zombie before that.
He's only killed zombies and like not had to kill someone or whatever, right? Okay, because they framed it like this is a big moment, and I'm like, what's going on?
Well, that was the guy who was threatening to kill him with the knife, and he killed him with the knife. I was screaming at that point because I was like, why did you leave the gun, you fucking idiot?
Oh, it's like sticking into him?
It's sticking into him like fucking perfectly. We were like, wait a minute, what?
Like a cartoon character.
Like, that's a sharp... It doesn't vary at all. Like I can. Your rig is showing, like type of a thing.
Well, and like when it pokes out the other side, it seemed curved or something. It was weird. I don't know.
So you mentioned the part where the guy's like, "I'm out of bullets," and I thought it was funny because there's a lot of bullet wasting in the movie.
I fucking got one! What do you want, a fucking sweetie? Keep showing that cunt!
So just like firing randomly, like he could be in this tent. Like type of stuff. So it's funny that someone does die because they don't have bullets.
That's true. No, and like I think that even goes to flesh out more of the vibe that like they think that they're SEAL Team 6, but they're just a bunch of pricks.
Pretty much.
And they're kind of just fucking around. And like they all die. Like it's not like if
they are to the military.
If there's anything good about this, it's that to me.
Yeah, they are to the military what like your friend in high school says he's a black belt is.
I would be the best. I would be the best in an apocalypse. I wouldn't rape anyone unless my commanding officer allowed me to.
Okay, Jim. Okay.
And you're like, what the fuck?
Dad literally could have been the best in the apocalypse because he was like tech savvy. He had the suit. He lifts a car at one point. Like he's it's a British car, and that is a thing people do.
Okay,
I've seen like the prank where two dudes like lift up British cars.
Two dudes?
Yeah, and will like move them out of their spot.
Because again, it is the like totally anemic, gaunt Cillian Murphy and then Brendan Gleeson together just lifting a car, and I'm like, what? Is he infected with rage? What's happening? How is he doing this? And it's like, oh, you know, like you can lift a car if like your kid's underneath it. And I'm like, that's kind of what's happening. That's fine. But no, you're saying that they make the cars out of cardboard or whatever?
They're very economic. Like they're compact, they're smaller, and they're just lighter.
Not like American cars that are like the bulldozer from Hard Boiled. Yeah. That's just going down the road and be like, you can put in a bike lane if you want, but all the death's going to be on your head.
Ironically, the problem with that driving over like an American car would have gone over all those little tiny European bullshit cars.
And crush things in my tank. Let's crush a taxi cab.
Like Hummer just like crushes them.
But that was it's so stupid.
It pushes all of the debris out of the tunnel like a turd getting pushed out. It's just pushing the whole thing out. High fiber Hummers now are the big thing.
Something good I'll say before I then say some bad things.
Oh.
The soundtracky score, whatever that noise, that like this little song they play, like their zombie cue thing, like that, it's like very effective and like stays with me. And I think other things have tried to like ape that like.
I was gonna mention the like at the end when he's shirtless and wet and he's fighting all those people. They play this like it's like a weird choice. It's like an alternative rock like. Like muted minor key, it's like
it plays a couple times, it's different versions.
It's like the intro to an Evanescence song. It doesn't sound like a soundtrack, but it fits.
It gives me like
weird.
Linkin Parky vibes.
Yeah, no, exactly. That sort of like dark minor riff sort of thing that's like looping and stuff, a lot of reverb and shit. I agree, and I feel like to what you're halfway done saying, this made a huge impact, and it got into people's heads who made movies, and they've slowly been like reusing.
I feel like something similar is in
referencing.
like Resident Evil. Like they
Yeah.
like that. They like that shit. What I don't like.
Oh right. I was like, yeah, good.
I understand, like in most movies, it's like, oh, we gotta get the person in their tank top, or oh, we gotta get them shirtless or whatever. And like in this, I don't think they had it. I don't like what a normal movie would be like. Oh, there's razor wire on that fence. Okay, we're gonna throw like a coat or a rug or something on that to get over that. Okay, cool. But in this, it seems like what they're saying is like his shirt got caught or something and came off.
Oh no, we're fucked.
But his hands were tied behind his back, weren't they? Like, a shirt can't come off.
Oh my God.
When your hands are tied, like, at all.
He wanted to be more naked.
Part of what I'm thinking.
He was like, can I get my wang out? And they were
can
like,
my pants get
no,
caught?
just the shirt, Cillian. No. God, he wants to be naked all the time. There's someone chasing him with pants. Put your pants on the whole time.
He's just helicoptering.
He's like, ah, it's in the contract, bitch, ah.
He kills a guy by putting his like thumbs in his eyes, like toward the end.
Oh, okay, because then she stops. I was gonna say, she in my head she kills him to finish him off, and he just like incapacitates him. But that was like a mix-up of like, oh, I think he's infected with rage 2 now, and I'm like, no, he's not.
So and he gets hit in the head with that bottle, where I'm like, that could kill a man.
It's a movie.
She shatters a bottle, and maybe they're cheap British glass, but I have a feeling
now
British glass is like
sinking.
solid.
No, it's like their cars. They're made of, it's very thin. It's made of nothing.
I liked her being like on the Valium like during that ending sequence.
No, that's
but
nice.
I also like
that's a weird choice.
I didn't think she even got them in her mouth before that guy stopped them.
I'm making you not care, okay?
Sorry.
But you know, whatever.
I was a little confused to your point, where I'm like, I don't even know how high she's supposed to be. But then the dude, like once they're all reunited, he's like, are you stoned? And it's like, it's a long story. And I'm like, okay, that's neat.
You stoned?
It's a long story.
Like I like things that are kind of like speed bumps that add a little friction to what I assume the story is going to be. So I love that. But yeah, and that's such a dark, weird rape thing too with them and stuff. I'm like, I hate this. I don't want to watch this.
But I like how it changes her her demeanor.
I don't think they are coming back. I think they've been killed.
Sausage up!
Hannah.
And she's like, no, they're probably dead.
You're going to
die
too.
next.
You're going to die too. She's like Resident Evil, like the little sister. You're going to die down here.
You're all going to die down here.
Yeah, she's doing that. I actually made a note there of like, she's gaslighting the Goober Troop guy, because he's like what? He's like looking out the window like he's scared now. I'm like, this is awesome.
She's like a stone cold killer though.
Great.
Like she's totally calm when like the guy's in the car and she's like, all right, let me just back you up into your own death here. Okay, that guy's got you. Check. Let's drive out of here.
She figured out how to use the brakes. It's character development.
Easy, brake.
It's a good script. It's just something's wrong. Something happened or something.
Yeah.
It needs to be 4 hours long or 90 minutes long. I'm sticking to it.
I don't disagree. I think there's a fun premise here for like a television show.
It's not bad. It's good. It's cool. Whatever.
I'll say this. It was great.
I know.
Then.
Exactly.
Not as great now.
True.
Movie 2, though, while not a good movie, has one of the best sequences, period.
Movie 2, still great. I may never have seen the second movie. I have no memory.
We'll watch at least that scene.
All right. Don't threaten me.
How could it cross the mountains and the rivers? They stopped it. And right now TVs are playing and planes are flying in the sky and the rest of the world is continuing as fucking normal.
Hello is an odd choice.
Sucks.
Well, it's odd for two reasons. It doesn't convey urgency or that you actually need assistance.
Exactly.
And it's more difficult to make a large O than a P.
And it's not British.
No.
They should have said ahoy hoy.
Ahoy hoy?
I thought you were going to say that. They don't say hello in Britain. They say oi.
Hello? 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 Hello?
Yeah, it just said oi prick.
Just said oi prick.
I don't know.
Save
I
us.
guess they're fine.
Never, but not since that episode of Friends have I been so confused by what they were trying to write for a plane. That was amazing to me. It says play.
What's play?
That's help, spelled backwards so that the helicopters can read it from the air.
So they can read it from the sky. But here, yeah, hello, because you see the HEL and you just assume it's going to be help. Yeah. And then it's like, hello! And you're like, what the fuck is happening? And the whole misdirect where she's like sewing and it's all red, and then it turns out the giant O just has a tiny red patch or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? You're fucking with me now, movie. What's happening? We were friends. You showed me some good things, and it's been a long time. And now you end with this?
Yeah. I remember just being like, that's stupid.
That's stupid.
Like, end on a high note, of course, movie.
End on a high note. And they're not going to get help. That plane should have circled around and then dropped a bomb on that. Predator drone should have come out and been like, extermination complete. We found some more stragglers, sir. It should have been like that.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
If you want to support the show, head over to cannibalvideo.com, pick up some merch.
And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's something.
Whatever.
Fuck these motherfuckers.
We have to go.
Yeah.
Go fucking where?
Cannibal Video has everything you need. A wide array of VHS and DVDs. We ate the competition, now it's only us. Our expert staff opinions